Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you inky savages are joining us for episode number 186 of the PenBoyRoy Pentertainment Podcast. Sorry we missed last week. Tom was kind of busy with his family stuff, so soccer games and whatnot, so we couldn't coordinate a time. But I have some exciting news, and it comes from Luxury Brands of America. And you guys are going to like this, because they're actually launching a new product. I'm going to read this. Introducing the all-new Endless Companion 10 adjustable pen pouch. It is the perfect accessory for every writing enthusiast. That's a bold statement, but it does look really awesome. After many requests for a larger case size, Endless has delivered, and in incredible fashion. The 10-pen case features a leather divider, which also acts as the notebook's holder. So there's a notebook that you can put a notebook in it, which is really cool. This feature allows the length and width of the case to be virtually the same as the 5-pen, but it is thicker to accommodate the additional 5 pens. As with the 5-pen companion, the 10-pen companion comes with one dotted pocket Storyboard notebook. So you get a free notebook, which is really cool. As always, well, you're paying for it, so it's not free. It's included. As always, the companion features Endless's innovative adjustable pen loops, so you can fit almost any pen of any size. In addition, the cartridge converter slot that you all know and love, if you knew and loved it, is still included in the 10-pen companion. That's pretty cool. I like it. So like you can carry around 10 pens, a notebook, a converter, and a cartridge. So you're good to go. You can write the bejesus out of anything you want to write anywhere. I think that's great. Because one pen sometimes is just not enough, right? Sometimes you'll start writing and then you'll say to yourself, you know what? I need a different pen. I'm feeling something else. So then you move to something else. And these are going to be available soon. So they're launching. They're on the way to my sponsors, Goldspot. So check out Goldspot pens using the affiliate link in the description below. And make sure you make your purchases and use coupon code... I forgot the coupon code. Tom?
Titanium.
Use coupon code TITANIUM at checkout for an additional savings on most of the products on the Goldspot website through the affiliate link. Now, here's what's really, really cool. Most of the products are discountable. Some are not, which is not as cool. But make sure to use coupon code TITANIUM at checkout. Save yourself 10% in additional savings on most of the products. Coupon code TITANIUM. Anyway, Tom and I have a lot of things to talk about this week. We have some catching up to do. We will do so. And thank you for joining us. But before we get started, I want to give you guys a quick disclaimer. This podcast is not scripted and therefore will contain potty mouth words, both from Tom and I. Mostly from me. So be forewarned if you haven't been warned. Now on to the podcast.
The PenBoyRoy Entertainment Podcast. Stay savage.
So you said you had some amazing news.
Yeah, but
No?
it was about what we were just about to talk about that you said we can't talk about.
Oh,
You know.
okay.
Which is kind of cool, you know.
Oh,
But I got it in the mail, and you guys are gonna have to stay tuned if you want to figure out what it actually is. But it's pretty awesome. I like it. I like it a lot because of the color, because of the nib, the way it writes. It's good stuff. But another exciting news, stay tuned. We're going to get someone from Karis Customs to sit down with us because I have been on my Karis Custom. This is the copper. Did I show this last week? This is the copper.
we did talk about that,
Ink,
and
yeah.
and I kind of figured that you had. Did they reach out via listening to any of the couple of last episodes, or you reached out to them?
No. I reached out to G over at Karis Customs, the person that I was talking to, because so what happened was I wanted to re-get the copper ink, but it's not on the website. So I reached out, and then she said, like, listen, we have some left. We just have to, get them ready to put up on the site. But if you want, I'll send you an invoice for one. So I said, invoice the shit out of me, So she invoiced me, and then I got it in the mail. Really excited about it. I haven't tinkered with it. I've been tinkering a lot these days, and I posted it on Instagram the other day. I think you're right. I think I have a tendency of over tightening things to the point of destruction. So
you just take it to that little extra. You know how they say don't over tighten.
yeah,
That just doesn't apply to you. It's just like
so I ended up having to buy a strip screw set to unscrew screws and hex screws and torque screws that I over tighten, because I just want to make sure things are secure when I secure them. And then that made me realize, like, when it comes to pen caps, I need to dial it back a little bit. Just turn it until it just stops and then stop there. Over tightening, not good. And I've never actually destroyed a pen from over tightening, I think. I think I might have over tightened a nib unit and destroyed the nib that way. But I think that's like, I think I have like a problem with that. So I'm going to really resolve that. And one of the ways I did resolve it is I got a tool by, I think it's called, was it Williams? I can't remember. Wheelers. So basically what it is, it's like, it looks like a screwdriver, but it has like a measurement on it. You can set the pounds per inch, right?
okay.
And when you set the pounds per inch, hold on a second. My wife is texting me. So basically, I won't over tighten.
So the driver doesn't allow you to over tighten.
No. So you set it for 35 pounds per inch or something like that, or some measurement. It's a weird measurement. And let's say you set it to 35. You turn it until it clicks, kind of like the Monte Grappa, and then it won't go tighter than that. If you set it to 80, it'll go to 80 pounds per inch, whatever the measurement is, and then it'll click. And then even if you click it 5 or 6 times, it's not going to get tighter and tighter. It's just going to stop.
It just
there.
disengages so that if you turn it, it's not going to
it's
actually
just going to
turn.
it's just going to keep clicking.
That is a handy tool for somebody like you who needs to make sure that things are precisely fit, but just not too much.
Yeah, and you know what it is? You know how many oh shit moments I've had when I go to unscrew something, but then the screw strips or the hex screw strips or the torque screw strips, and then the torque wrench twists and it's just no longer usable. A lot of oh shit moments. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, how am I going to get this out? It got to a point that I posted on Instagram where I had to screw it. I had to just drill into the screw and down to where the threads are, so that it became weak. And then I just grabbed it with a pair of pliers and twisted it out. So it's
crazy.
Holy cow. And you know what? I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to make sure I don't over tighten things. I'm going to tighten things the way they're supposed to, but not overdo it, because I certainly do overdo it.
I'm imagining you when you were in kindergarten, putting stuff together, and yours would always the teacher would come over like, Roy, you're over tightening this. You'd be putting together a toy or something, and it's just it's all mashed.
So holler at your boy. Guess what? I got some cool news about me, unrelated to pens. Mm-hmm.
You're all full of news today.
Yeah, I know.
Let's bring it on.
I am now unrelated to pens and related to tightening screws and not doing that anymore and having a tool that will prevent me from doing it. I am a certified, authorized Glock armorer. That means I can repair Glocks as per Glock, which I think is cool.
Okay.
So that doesn't serve any purpose for fountain pens at all.
But if there's any fountain pen that's the name of Glock, perhaps?
Right.
Then could we send them to you?
Yes, absolutely.
If Glock makes a fountain pen.
If Glock makes a fountain pen, it'll probably be made of polymer. And are there any pens made of polymer?
What kind of polymer? Because wouldn't resin fall under a polymer sort of category? Or I'm guessing.
I don't know. I've been using metal pens nowadays, especially the copper pen, because I just love the heaviness and the weight of it, and it's so unique. As much as I love resins, I don't know. I've just been I don't want to damage them. I don't want to like have it in my pocket and then like
have to worry about the fragility of it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then if I put it in my breast pocket, I don't want the top of it to get hit with some debris or something like that, or as I'm walking through a doorway, scratch it. It's the worst feeling in the world, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever have that happen to you where you have like a pen that you really like and then you get a blem on it and then a blemish on it, and because of that, it's just no longer your favorite pen. You can't even look at it. And when you do look at it, it's the only thing that you see? No?
I really can't say that I've had. I'm trying to think as I have some of my pens out in front of me, but I can't really say that I have like any pens that have extreme blemishes like that. Like no dents or scratches that I can recollect that I earned through some sort of use, or not misuse, but like just hitting it against something.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like messed up all around, but like imagine you have this nice shiny pen, be it acrylic, metal, whatever, and there's just like one glaring scratch on it or a nick on it. Right? Like would that get you to like replace it? You know what I mean? Like what? Where's the line for you where you have a pen and something, it writes fine, it functions fine, there's a blemish on it. What would cause you, and where's the line for you that would make you go out and just replace the whole pen? And this question goes out to everybody.
So I got the dogs are crying because the rest of my family just got home. So that's why they're like whining. They're behind me. They're in the behind the green screen, of course. But to answer your question, it's like all the pens that I have, I want to be like they're my user pens. Like I use them. I kind of use them with the idea that I would be okay if they get beaten up. If they had like a little scratch or or not, just as long as they don't have like a really bad crack or like a chip missing of the material. And I would feel that then also if it did, I couldn't feel comfortable with then, let's say, putting that pen for sale if I don't want to have it anymore because of it, because then it would then become somebody else's chipped pen. So I would feel worse about that. I wouldn't want to do that.
I get it.
So I really feel like most of them, really the only pen that I've used enough that it's kind of started to fall apart was the Nemesine, the Singularity. You remember how those had the issues with the hairline fissures in the cap lip? So I actually used it enough, and I've beaten it up enough that cap started to deteriorate. Like actually, instead of the fissures, the chips started to come off. So So at that point, it has become functionally not usable anymore because then air starts getting into the capped pen and it dries out on me all the time. So my remedy for that is I actually happen to have a spare demo cap for that pen somewhere. I just ended up coming across it like in my desk, and I was like, oh crap, I can save this pen. I just found the cap and put a new cap on it. But yeah, that's the only time that I had something that was beat up that bad. But I mean, that's a pen that it's so inexpensive that if it ran its course, I would be like, okay, just it's done. Just send it on its way. Do a little funeral thing for it. And,
but don't you think that fountain pens are one of those items that should never just break down or have enough wear that you have to throw it out? Like, have you ever done that? Have you ever used a fountain pen to the point where it's no longer usable? Like, what would it take for a fountain pen to become no longer usable with normal use that you just have to now throw it away? I can't think of any scenario.
Well, I was kind of thinking about that for that one particular pen because it was, it was a very inexpensive pen, but I really liked the nib that was on it, so I did want to save it. And that's really what it comes down to, is I think if the nib got all messed up somehow, like the nib got bent out of shape, the filling mechanisms broke, or like something about the pen, like if there's cracks in the material, or like the cap's no longer sealing, there's got to be multiple things going on with it for me to be like, all right, it's not worth it for anybody, because like it would probably take it would cost a lot for a nibmeister to fix a nib. You know, if the nib's available to replace, then that's a different story. But if it was like a discontinued model pen or, you know, vintage pen that it would cost you a lot to repair the nib or replace the nib, then you'd have to factor that into your consideration. You know, I wouldn't, you know, if it was a vintage pen that had a whole bunch of messed up issues and I didn't want to put the investment into repairing it again, then I might just put it on eBay. It's broke as is, so that somebody else could then get it, and then because it's a vintage pen, that they may want to take the time or the money to then restore it. So, you know, I wouldn't want to take that out of circulation. But for something like a, you know, if it's like Haveco Sport, a Lamy Safari, it's you know, caps broke or like the nib's all messed up and stuff, it's going to cost way too much to even, you know, bother with you know, fixing all of the various issues with it. But if it makes sense, like if all you have to do is just replace the nib, then replace the nib. But, you know, if there's a whole bunch of things wrong with it, then it's just like, all right, you know, it's not worth the time and money involved in, you know, trying to fix it up again.
Yeah. You know, getting certified and authorized by Glock to repair Glock guns and stuff like that across all generations and stuff made me think, like, there's no such thing as a certification or authorization from a brand or a company to fix a fountain pen.
No, there isn't.
I mean, like, there's no measurement or there's no stamp that makes it authorized, right? Like, so, like, any kind of tinkering that you do on a fountain pen voids warranty, right?
Right.
Like, let's say I take down a Glock down to the last pin and all the springs, I clean it and reassemble it. And you do the exact same thing. Exact same thing, step by step, procedure by procedure. The fact that you're not authorized and certified, you voided the warranty. The fact that I did it and I'm authorized doesn't void the warranty. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
With fountain pens, it doesn't matter who does it. You void the warranty unless it's done by the fountain pen manufacturer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think there should be some sort of standard or authorizing body that says this person can do repairs or nib work on a fountain pen. This person at Goldspot Pens, or this person at Goulet Pens, or this person at so-and-so. And they are authorized and certified to fix it. And it won't void the warranty. Or they're authorized and certified to tinker with it.
It would be nice to have that. It
right?
would be.
Like,
it really would.
And all it would really take is you just have to have someone from the manufacturer or someone from the distributor trained who can train other people and then certify them. Right?
Yeah, because that would cut down on, let's say, for example, there are certain brands that don't want the retailer to take back the pen. And this is kind of like a sticking point. So, you know how sometimes when you have a piece of technology, an appliance or whatnot, and you buy it from the store, and it says, wait, there's a big piece of paper. It says, stop. If there's anything wrong with this, you have to call this number. Do not return back to the place that you purchased this from. Like, there's a lot of appliances.
Yeah, sometimes
do
I'll
this.
see that. Yeah.
So there's a similar thing with certain brands of fountain pens. They don't want the retailers taking back the merchandise and then sending it to the vendor or the manufacturer, distributor, whatever. They want the customers to do the same thing. It's like, wait, if there's anything wrong with this pen, but they don't do it in as overt fashion as some of these appliances I alluded to. So what happens is, like, let's say for, you know, a Visconti or a Sailor, is that the U.S. distributors don't handle the actual repair. They end up sending them overseas. So we're talking like a 12-week wait, if not more. Then if, you know, so it would behoove them to create more satisfied brand loyal customers to have the point of contact for any service is to be like more immediate, like within the retail, you know, at the retail level. So like empower with the information and knowledge to be able to give them the ability to do the repairs and to do the adjustments and things like that. And then that way you have much more satisfied customers. I think you have a lot less in terms of overheads too, because you'd be spending less time as the manufacturer having to handle repairs. You'd be spending more time making new and awesome pens.
Yeah, and it would be an easy thing to do, right? Just like, think about it. Certification is once a year at the DC Pen Show at such and such time. Every retailer can send 1 or 2 representatives to act as the certified repair person. You know, for example, Visconti will have their certification from, 8 to 5 p.m. So, they do whatever it is that they have to do. They create, each manufacturer creates their PowerPoint and creates a book on the step-by-step of how to repair their fountain pen and how to do certain things, and then they'll do the 8-9 hour course certification. They'll break down pens and fix them, put them back together and stuff like that. They'll get certified, and then whatever tools that they need that is not available to the public, they can purchase from the manufacturer or distributor. They'll have those tools on hand. And then on top of that, there's nothing that sucks worse than you having something that you bought from a retailer. Something goes wrong. You contact the retailer, and because the retailer is not supposed to take it back, the retailer turns around and tells the customer, oh, you got to contact the manufacturer. It's kind of like, but wait a minute, I bought the pen from you. I didn't buy it from the manufacturer. Why do I have to contact them? Why do I have to do all these fucking steps to get something fixed that I bought? And then who takes the blame? The retailer, right? And people don't really know that that's the process or that's what's happening. The retailer has to kind of abide by what the manufacturer or distributor says for them to do. So you can't just now go and start taking stuff back, unless, of course, they're just so dissatisfied they just completely and totally want a refund. Then it is what it is.
And at that point too, it's just like you don't want to erode the trust and the goodwill between the retailer and the customer, nor the manufacturer. Which brand loyalty is such a really big thing. So you want to feel that when you trust a certain brand of pens, that you're going to put your trust in something that's worthy of it. And if it fails in that certain way, then it's just like, oh well, I'm not ever buying such and such pen brand ever again.
Or they'll say, I'm never going back to that retailer again.
Right.
And that's not even the retailer's fault at that point.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and if they had the same thing happen with another, let's say they bought the same model pen from someplace else, even though they don't know it, that'll be the same effect will happen. It's like, well, I have some issue with this, so you gotta send it back to the manufacturer. It's like, well, it's just what it is.
Yeah, that's a frustrating experience, because now you're not seeing that thing again for 3 months, and it's like, well, I bought it now because I wanted it now, not because if I were going to wait 3 months, I would have bought it 3 months from now. And then
the only thing I could think of in terms of certification, though, is like the only thing I've heard of anecdotally within the pen community is that there were times when people would go to Richard Binder and basically spend a weekend with him.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of like the faux certification of like, I know my shit with nibs now.
Yeah.
But I don't think necessarily that's a thing that's open to everybody to do. I think this is kind of like, if you get to know him, like he'll, you could work with him on that.
Not just that though. Saying you have that certification is awesome, but doesn't really hold weight for a brand, right? So like if you told Pelican that, oh yeah, I went to the weekend seminar with Richard Binder, stayed the week there, and I'm really good at nibs, Pelican's not going to turn around, or a brand or a manufacturer or a retail distributor is not going to turn around and be like, oh cool, so if you have any problems with returns because of defective products, you can fix them, and then we'll compensate you for fixing it since we didn't have to. They're not going to turn around and say that, right? I see what you're saying, but that is the closest thing that we've seen because of who Richard Binder is. But at the same time, like I was saying, I wish that something was actually existent and in place where a brand can say, we're now training authorized retailers, members of authorized retailers in service repair. And once they're certified and trained, we will stand behind it. You can, I think like Nintendo does that, right? Or like iPhones do that. You don't.
Yeah, well, Apple has like certified refurbished. That there's people who are non-Apple, like they're outside of Apple. They're not not a business subsidiary of Apple, but they are certified in being able to fix iPhones.
Right, and then you can go there, and the standard is set so they can fix your phone, and you can have confidence in that. You know what I mean?
It's just that the thing is, I think there's the issue. I believe is that there's certain things that in the pen community have just kind of stayed the same way, and no one wants to make any changes with it. One particular case example is Lamy. Lamy's U.S. repair center, or we could say a center, is the one guy. His name is Lamy Bob. Lamy Bob has been doing
his real
this.
Name?
Well, no, it's his name is Bob Nurin, but he's called Lamy Bob because he's been doing this for decades. Like he's been doing this whole since the days when Lamy was being sold by Filofax, and ever since. So I've been working in the pen industry for 15 years, and he's been doing it for longer. I don't know how long he's been doing it, but it's just that it's this kind of mentality that it's just the information is in the possession of a few select people who then there's really no motivation to train other people, because that's the same guy that's been doing it and is happy doing it for years and years and years. What's the point in showing anybody else? Because they're just planning on him doing it until in infinity, and that apparently is good enough.
See, but the thing is, I'm saying I think the point is customer satisfaction, which is critical. If customers aren't satisfied, they're not going to buy, right? So if customers in California have a guy to fix it, then they don't have to ship it all the way to New York, right? They can do it locally. They can find the guy who does it locally, and they can get their pen back faster, right? If that fails because something's so catastrophically defective, then the manufacturer steps up and replaces it or something, right? But at least it saved the manufacturer legwork. And if it's a successful fix, it saved the customer time. I don't know if it'll save money, because I personally hate it when I buy something that's defective and now I got to pay out of pocket to ship it, right? Because it's wait a minute, I'm being penalized because I got a defective product. The defection isn't my fault. Why am I paying for shipping? You know what I mean? So the pen industry is pretty freaking good about it, right? So you get a defected product or a nib that doesn't write, every pen retailer will send you a return label, which is fantastic, right? So the only thing that I'm having to do is go to the mailbox and drop it in, and then I have to wait, which is bad enough. But if in other industries, you have to do that. On top of it, you have to pay for shipping, which really kind of irks me. I get really upset about that. And it's not the money, it's the principle.
My friend Mike, he recently purchased an M1000 nib to replace. It was a broad to replace on his Sufron M1000, because he likes wet and smooth, super gusher. He loves that types of stuff. So he bought it from Colt Pens, and because they have incredible. They're in Europe, so it's they have the amazing pricing that US doesn't get on Pelican. So we've talked about that a number of times on the podcast before, and it's just so he gets it from there, and I actually got to see this pen too, and I got to try it out and everything. It was such a skipper. It was so bad. The ink flow was inconsistent, hard starting. It was just a shame because the nib, when it was actually writing, was just so beautifully smooth, wet, springy, amazing nib, but it just was not working properly. It would write well if you had it dipped, but then once it starts to pull from the reserve, it just would be such a terribly inconsistent nib. And their solution for it was, you could send it on your own dime back to us, and then if we determine that there's something wrong with it, then we will refund you the shipping. So it's like, okay, I guess you're not taking my word for it. That is defective, So it's like,
yeah, no, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's
what Pelican said.
No, this is Colt. Send it back to
Colt pens. Oh,
right.
What are they? A retail? I don't know anything about Colt pens.
Oh, they're in the UK. They're a retailer. Yeah, it's a pretty big retailer from what I understand in the UK. So,
wow.
But he did it because of the pricing discrepancy, and he's kind of like, I don't think I'll be doing that again. So
yeah, and that's the problem sometimes you get with, unless you're buying from like Iguana Cell or Apple Bloom. I mean, I'm surprised if Colt is big as it is, that they wouldn't just do the right thing right from jump, Because think about it. This guy your buddy, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your buddy, he spent more time with that nib and gave it more chances than the retailer probably will when they receive it back. They're more than likely just dip it right like the word hello, and then it's fine. Right?
I mean, he knows his stuff too. He's got so many different pens that it's like if he's telling you that something's wrong with it, it's not just like, it could be a novice, could be like a bad ink and paper combination, or he's writing at a different angle. It's like, he could trust me. He's got enough knowledge to know that something's up with this thing. And he brought it to me because he's like, if there's something else that I could do for it, just maybe a slight little adjustment or whatever. But that was outside of. But that would be great if I had that knowledge too, to be able to be like, certified Pelican nib meister or repair special, so somebody could actually just take it and be like, hey, this, that, and the other thing's wrong with it. Or maybe even have like a quick main line into, like, the person maybe not like the most knowledgeable to fix advanced issues, but then would be the first person of contact to be like, I know I could reach out to on Pelican on this, and then get their advice, and then be able to do it myself rather than having to send it, somewhere else. But
yeah,
I mean, that's what we should push for that. We should try to get something
I think
like
everybody
that going.
should think about it. I think Ronnie over at Pen Chalet would be down for it if someone in his team had a certified Pelican repair person, and Goulet had a certified Pelican repair person, or Gold Spot. I mean, because a lot of retailers, they also try to do the right thing by, someone has a problem with their pen, they'll try to fix it for them, right? They'll have them send it back, and they'll tune the nib or make sure it works, or see what's wrong, or maybe clean it or do something, and then get it back to them, right? Because they don't want people to have to send their pens back to distributors or manufacturers and wait fucking 20 years just to get it back, right? So
and there's very few that will actually have that kind of service. I think one that I could think of right off the top of my head was Fountain Pen Hospital, because I don't know if they still, when they changed over to being owned by Manu, I think I don't know if they still have the pen repair specialist that was on staff there, or nibs.com I know would have because they do tuning and nib work there too. I think Farney's, I believe, has somebody who does repairs.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if there was an actual person who was certified by the brand or the manufacturer, then we don't need to know who's the guy doing. Like, think about it. Fountain Pen Hospital, they had a pen repair guy. I don't know who the guy was. I don't know his name. I don't know anything. I mean, I was like, I guess they know what they're doing, right? But let's say they say, this guy is a certified repair person for this brand, or a certified repair person for this brand. Even though I'm sending a pen that's not that brand, at least I know, this guy is certified enough that a brand actually certifies him and trusts him to do the work on their behalf.
like at
but
a
I didn't know
certain
anything.
standard.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the guy who was fixing my Peniter La Grande Bellezza Dolomite Green that I purchased from Goulet Pens back in 2017 and was the subject of my first review. I knew nothing about him. I had to trust him. I had to trust it on blind faith, right? And the fact that Fountain Pen Hospital has been around for a long time, which really doesn't mean a whole lot when it comes to the guy who repairs it, right? So, like, I don't know what standard they have for that. I know who Linda Kennedy is, and could I have sent it to her? Sure, I could have. It would also meant waiting 6 months, right? So you need a nib repaired or something done to your nib, and you send it to Linda Kennedy, who's trained by Richard Binder. She's probably one of the best out there. One of the, I'm not saying the, because I don't want anyone who is also really good to be offended. You have to wait. You're on a waiting list. There's a wait list. But think about it. If there is people at every retailer, you know, I could say, I could call up Goldspot. Hey, Tom, I need this done to my pen. Okay, well, you know, it's going to be $35 for the repair. How long is it going to take? Oh, it's going to take about 2 weeks. All right, cool. Let me call you back. I could shop around. Hey, Ronnie, what's going on? I need this done to my pen. Oh, okay, it's going to be, you know, $45. How long is it going to take? Less than a week. Boom. I can either go with cheaper and take longer. I can go with more expensive and faster. At least I have options. But if it's not there, then you have to deal with being stuck in a situation where your options are take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's not cool in an industry where people are so passionate and adoring to the hobby, right?
Yeah.
We have so many industries that are not as passionate, that people are not as caring about their products or their hobby, but get so much more in terms of service than the fountain pen industry, right?
Like air conditioners. It's not a sexy appliance, but there's people who know how to fix air conditioners.
Yeah.
And you could call them and they'll be there in 20 minutes if you pay, you know, emergency fees and things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of unsexy things that there's repair services for.
Yeah.
But pens is not really one of them that's that
think
widely
about this
used.
too. This is the niche market of the fountain pen industry is not, you're not a millionaire because you sell fountain pens or fix fountain pens, right? Retail stores, they're not selling iPhones. They're not selling huge profit margins. They're not making millions of dollars a day, right? It's an industry that's pretty small. This is a way to think about it, expand it, right? Like, think about it, like with the purchase of your pen for an additional $15, you'll have an additional 3 years on top of the warranty that comes with the manufacturer's pen. So if, for example, a pen is a 2-year warranty with the manufacturer, you're going to add additional 3 years on top of that because you got the guys there that are trained. And then let's say at Goldspot, it's Chris. He's the trained repair person. And then what happens is, you know, he gets a gig to play at Coachella because I don't know if everybody knows, he's a musician and an artist and an extremely talented young man. And then he's like, hey, Tom, I get to play at Coachella. And then he makes it big, and then he goes traveling around the world. You know, you can always certify another person, but there'll always be someone who's certified available. And because of that, you can offer extended warranties for nominal pricing. They just got to bring it back to you. If something ever goes wrong in the next 5 years, we'll fix it. And then the brand is backing you, so, you know.
And then there'll be phone calls being made. So let's say if you bought a Sufron 800 from a pen retailer and they have these warranties available, in about 5 years or so, you're going to get a phone call from an unknown number, and then they'll be like, so, how would you be interested in an extended warranty for your pen, Mr. PenBoyRoy? Because you know you get a lot of those for the car warranties.
Yeah,
it's like how would you like your extended warranty for your pen? It'll be only $29.95 for the first year.
That's taking it too far. I'm just saying there's more options to expand the ability to make the industry more accessible and viable for everybody. Because I would for sure pay $15 extra knowing that if I bought a $125 pen or a $200 pen, that if anything goes wrong for the next 5 years instead of 2 years, it's going to be covered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, like with my iPhone, I pay for Apple Care. But I still take care of my phone. Just because I have Apple Care doesn't mean I'm going to beat the fuck out of it and let it fucking fall out of a truck, right? Mm-hmm. People are still going to do their best to take care of their pens. But 2 years from the day they bought it, after their warranty expires, the center band might just come off, right? Or something just detaches or doesn't work, or it leaks or something like that, you know, or, you know, they have an option. And they don't have to send it back to the manufacturer or the distributor. They don't have to be grilled like they're criminals. And they can just get a resolution. Anyway, that's all I got for this week. We got to start wrapping this up. Do you have anything else that you want to say about that?
Well, I thought it was also interesting, too. It just popped in my head. It's like, what if you... Let's say if you... Well, I mean, that would be difficult because then you could have a lot of stuff that you could send. But I was thinking, what if there was like some sort of membership basis? Where
what do you mean?
You would, where let's say you bought a pen from a retailer, and instead of like saying, well, extended warranty for just that particular pen, what if you just paid for, let's say, a yearly, like a once a year sort of fee that would then allow you to send back any of your pens, but like kind of maybe cap it at a certain number, whatever makes sense, and then that way, if you had any other pre-existing pens that had issues, you could be like, well, I have this one that just the nib's not right, or I dropped it, or whatever, and could you, I'll send this to you and you fix. So that kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be great. But like I was going back to, if you make it for every pen brand, then you have to be certified in every pen brand.
Yeah, and I think that really should be the way to go. Is that at least the major ones be like certified Pilot, Pelican, Visconti, like Caran d'Ache, like, and then that way but it's just like, I know it's a lot of information coming from a lot of different manufacturers, but I mean, that would be ideal in being able to be like the front line of service, and then really, really amping up that level of service. Yeah. Making it better for the...
Yeah, and that's what I want to see. I want to see that kind of service, because right now the best thing you can get at retailers is a shipping label back to the retailer and a refund or replacement, right? Which is fine. But what about for someone who it doesn't work for them to refund or replace something because they had it for 3 years, or it's not around, the pen's not around anymore, or that color is not available anymore? You know, something goes wrong with a person's pen after a couple of years, they're kind of just sitting on it and eating it. There's no recourse for them. It doesn't matter what the brand is, unless it's like, you know, like a Conklin that, you know, has a lifetime warranty and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, what about for pens that are limited editions, right? A limited edition Pelican that doesn't exist anymore. What's their recourse, right?
Well, a lot of pens are getting like that these days, where it's a special color, limited edition. There's so many. I mean, like, what if an SD that you bought 3 years ago that's not in production anymore, it was seasonal, but it's not, that material's not being in production anymore? You have to hope that they still have parts for that, because maybe they don't. Yeah.
So anyway, just food for thought. I really want people to chime in and tell me what you think about that idea. And all this was born of my whole, you know, my whole process of becoming becoming a Glock armor and learning about like the history of it and how to repair them and parts and stuff. And it's just like, you know what, that's cool, because now, like, let's say you live in my area and for whatever reason you have a dozen Glocks and 5 of them are broken. You don't have to now send it to Austria. You don't have to send it to the factory, you know, wherever it is in the U.S., or, you know, you can bring it to me. I take payment in the form of fountain pens. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to talk about that pen that we that I got in the mail. But since we can't, we'll have to wait till next week. And like I said, we got to wrap this up. But thank you again for joining us. This was episode number 186 of the PenBoyRoy Pentertainment Podcast. Stay tuned for Karis Customs. Stay tuned for my good buddy Lyman Good. We got to schedule things out. And we'll see you next time. Love you guys. Be well. Be safe.
Stay inky.